Are we just up on? I think
You
we're
can,
live.
you can never tell when you start the live. You always click the button and then you come into it halfway through a sentence and then people click the link and they don't know what you're saying.
See, if you could pit tune your live stream, you could get it to stream better, but you can't. You know what you can pit tune though, buddy?
Quads.
Oh yeah, you can pit tune your quad. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Smooth Like Steel. This live stream is not authorized by or associated with Steele Davis, but that's what it's called. And what we do is we tune your quad. Hi, my name is Abdul, and with me is my good buddy Ae0n. How you doing, man?
Hey man, how's it going?
It's going good. Always good when you're hanging out with your friends and you're doing quad stuff. Nothing like a good bit of quad stuff to put a smile on your face, eh?
Exactly, my buddy. I would, everything about them. Everything about quads.
Straight up, straight up. So what we're gonna do today, if you guys are just logging in, or maybe you're watching after the fact, and you're trying to catch up on what the stream is, so the stream is gonna be all about tuning your quadcopter. If you fly an FPV quadcopter, then what you need to do, my friend, is tune it. There's some magic numbers inside Betaflight. There also an emo flight and race flight and arju pilot and whatever. If you're flying, it has a P and an I and a D controller. You gotta give it some magic numbers, some exact numbers, and once you give it the right numbers, magic.
Yeah. And this is specific to everybody's quad. It's not one PID fits all. Your quad might have different motors or a bigger weighted battery or heavier payload, and it would require different PIDs. So yeah, we're going to do that.
Yeah, and even this goes as far as, hey, if you have a different amount of electrical tape on your quad, there's going to be a different reaction from the flight controller. Yeah, it's gonna happen when you reach the nth, like you reach the end of the potential. You try to drain each and every drop of juice, all the juice.
All of the amps.
There you're gonna feel it. There you're gonna feel that, hey, something is missing, and that's when you got to get those numbers just exactly correct. And that's what the stream is all about. It's all about sharing that with your friends, because you only get better by doing it with your friends. So what we're going to do is we're going to smash it out here and there. We're going to tell all of our people, all of our friends, that this is happening. We're gonna let our friends on the bot cord know. I've dropped them a message over there. We're gonna let our friends on the Treehouse know. If you need a nice FPV related Discord to hang out in, the Treehouse is where you want to get to. And if they, yeah, please.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and remember, don't think this is just for expert FPV pilots. It's really not. It can be made real simple. Just take a log, have a look at it, and see what needs to be changed. The hardest part is knowing what to do.
Yeah, and because they're so interrelated, right? Like even if there was one variable, even there are even P controllers, not just PID controllers, and there are even PI controllers. Those are the ones they'd have in those old F4 FIDI quads back in the day. But what we have is PID controllers, and all three of those variables play and dance together in this crazy mad kind of thing.
It's a whole feedback loop. The technology that's gone into the new quads today, goddamn, it's so fast. You got quads running 8K now, and that is so much faster than you can even think. So it's great to have this technology ready and we can change it. It's open source. We can do what we want to it.
And the power of the PID controller and getting your PIDs right, that's such a great point that you bring up, Ae0n, because it brings us to exactly why tuning your controller is important. Today you're flying on an F7 board, you're running 8K, 8 div, 8K bi-directional, D shot out the wazoo. You know, you got that Betaflight 4.2 magic running there. You got some, maybe you got dual gyros, you got like gorgeous 48 kilohertz, maybe 96 kilohertz. A PWM speed ESCs, and you're like, okay, now my quad flies sweet. But you know, way back in the day, if you're one of those OG quad pilots like your boy, I'm not really an OG, but I've been flying quads for a while. And back in the day, you'd have, and he knows, see Aeon knows what I'm going to share, because you'd start with an F1 flight controller. All right, we're running in under one, I think it was a 1K loop, if I remember right, or under 1K. You guys have Pro Shot 1000 and D Shot 1200. Dude, none of the shots existed. You flew on like PWM ESCs, and there was no active braking. Like, you know, our motors have active braking. There was no active braking back in the day. And the ESCs were horrible, and but despite all, and this is Betaflight, pre-Betaflight 2.5, right, back in the clean flight days. Despite all of this, you could get your quad to fly as smooth as a modern quad if you PID tuned it correctly. There is evidence of this. Go and watch the mighty lord of quads, Sharpu, okay, or some of the OG Rotor Riot guys, people like Zoe, people like Mr. Steele. This program is not authorized by or associated with Steele Davis. Nope. But if you go and watch some of his old videos, you'll see him flying with an F1 flight controller. And this is before Real Steady. This is before Hypersmooth. It didn't exist.
Way before, yeah.
And that footage is butter. The footage is butter. So all you gotta do is PID tune your quad. That's what it's all about. Let's take one more moment just to share out our stream. We've sent it out to our buddies out on them Discords. I'm going to smash it up on that Facebook. And then why don't you tell us, Aeon, what does PID mean, so everyone just knows exactly what that is, and we can start from there.
It's real simple, in quotations. PID, proportional, integral, and derivative. It is a mouthful, but that's why we shorten it to PID. The P is basically the push force. It's how much the ESC turns the motor on, basically. And that's a signal sent from the flight controller to the ESC. It's just a command. The I is one of those slow acting forces. It tends to take effect when your quad's drifting off course. And D is basically the braking force. It's how much it slows down by. And that's really it. As long as you understand when you turn your sticks, the quad is turning by powering up and powering down. You have to have a smooth yet locked in feel. And this is how you change it. You adjust the PIDs. If you want more speed going into the turn that you're doing, more P, but you've got to have more braking, so more D. We'll have a look at some examples later on at what these are like, and basically when you should use different tunes.
Well, why wait for a good thing? Let's jump right into it. The stream is going to be real short, real punchy. All you guys got to do to get involved, if you're watching with us right now, just shout out in the comments. If you're watching later, then check out the description. There's links to a Google Drive form, which you fill out one time to give us all the information about your quad, like what motors, what propellers, what is the condition, what do you want to fly it for? Is it freestyle? Is it race? Is it cinematic? Give us all that.
It saves us asking.
Yeah.
Constantly. You know, we got one big data sheet. We can say, oh, yo, Abdul, what motors were it? Oh, it was these 2207s. You know, with not back and forth. It's more streamlined. And we fill that up one time. Then you just submit a Google Drive link with your black box log and your DVR in it. Then you tune into the stream every Friday, and boom, we do exactly what we're going to show you right now, and we get it done. Why don't you pull up that
first one that we have, because we're going to Martha Stewart it. Some of our American, if you're watching from America and you're a certain age, then you get the reference, but we Martha Stewarted it because here's one that we prepared earlier. Brother Ae0n, shall we take a look at the Osama Quad XL6 day one?
We shall.
Let's pull it up. So now this is a quad. We have all of the information on it. We tuned it earlier. It was a fresh build that came into our hands, and boom, the first thing that we did after visual inspection. First thing is visual inspection. That's why also we ask you about the state of the drone, so we know that problems we're seeing are actual programming problems and not a hardware problem where something is smacking your flight controller.
Which it can be. It can be. A few times I've opened up a black box log and I've seen some funky lines going on, and it turns out it was a loose antenna mount. It was the camera mount wasn't screwed properly. That might have been my one, but things happen. So yeah, make sure you've got a clean build. Everything's tied down. There's no analogous vibrations. If you've got one of those long boy antennas, they are really prone to adding the vibration wobble on the pitch axis. Maybe add a zip tie, maybe tighten it up a little bit.
And you can see that in the black box log. There is a clear, that's what's really, really cool about it. That's one of my favorite things about the FPV hobby, is that, hey, my toy can talk to my computer and it can tell me things. That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So we're going to get really cool into it. Once you pull it up, start the screen share, Ae0n, and we'll jump right into it. So this was a new quad, a fresh build we had our hands on. It was an iFlight XL6 build that had Zing motors. It's flying a 4S battery, and we're gonna see presently what it looks like. We're gonna there we go, hold on. This is, so like I said, today is our nice soft launch. Boom. And things are going to get much better and smoother as we keep going on week after week. So this is what your black box log looks like when you open it up, and this is just a file that your flight controller has stored on it, or on the SD card you put onto your flight controller. If you want to know how that gets done, you haven't already seen the excellent video that Ae0n has on his channel. Links to his channel are in the description below. Then check that out, or leave a comment to this video and we'll try to make a piece of content just for you so you can figure out how to get this magical stuff through. Can we do a quick scrub through Ae0n just to show them? Just look at all this madness. It's like I know it looks like a bit like Greek, and like, what in the name of the Lord is going on, and why would you want this in your life? But it's fine.
When I first started looking at black box data, it was just squiggles to me. No joke, it really was. But then you see what's actually going on. You can isolate it, and you can zoom in and have a look, and it really does show you in depth what is really going on. When you do a power loop, what are you actually doing? Is it a power loop, or are you kind of jerky going all the way around?
But yeah. Speaking of which, before we jump into this, shall we open up a quick piece of DVR so that we can show that by what is the movement we're trying to look for in the real world? I believe we have an associated piece of DVR, if I'm not mistaken, for this one.
I believe we do.
It's in the, there isn't one in, I don't think there is one in this folder, but we have one in the other folder that is shared with you. Let me double check that Google Drive link that we have running over there. Did I just close that link? No, here we go. Where are we? What are we called again? We're called Smooth Like Steel. This program is not authorized by or associated with Steele Davis. That's us. But if you look at the 6S Day Tune 1, and let's come to 6S Tune Day 1. Let's come to that one because we have some DVR to go with that. It'll make more sense. Yeah, it has DVR. It's in the Google Drive. See, this is why we want you guys to fill the form, because we've created a system at the back which tracks all of these changes. So like we won't have to scroll through old files looking for things we did later. You'll forever have the story of how your quad was tuned, like documented and regimented. It'll be really nice.
Oh. Oh, I couldn't open the file.
Were you trying to open it with Black Box Explorer?
Yeah.
See, this is why you get your help with your friends, you guys, because it's it's easier with friends. They see things that you don't.
Yeah. So if I can.
And there you go. This,
there we go.
There we go. So this is a flight done for tuning purposes. Slightly chuck-tastic. Let me see if I have it loaded up on my end as well. I have it loaded up on my end as well. Let me show it to everybody through a non-laggy screen. Let's do that. We got you up back on top. Here's the mighty Ae0n. Check that out, you guys. We put that away. Here we go, playing. So this is what a tuning flight looks like. Don't try this at home. Mind you, I'm also I know what I'm doing, and it's not my first day tuning this quad, but I'll point out the movements we're looking for. Notice that I'm going to be doing all of this in empty space away from soft targets. Soft targets are what we call living things, and you're not allowed to touch them. So you don't fly around soft targets. So I think I'm gonna punch up now. I think that's what's happening, or maybe, oh no, I was adjusting my goggles there. Yeah, I was adjusting my goggles. Don't try that at home while flying your brand new shiny quad. I came back and landed, as you can see. Let's go to the next file. Is this a complete flight? So also short flights, if it's the first time you're flying your quad, just fly it for 30 seconds, bring it back, see if the motors are hot, and then proceed ahead of that. Motor heat is something you want to check. So Ae0n, tell them about, Bardwell has a great video about this, but let's tell them, what are the rules for hot motors? How do you tell if your motor is quote unquote hot?
It's a fantastic video that Joshua Bardwell has. Everybody should go and watch it. But the short version of it is, if you can touch it and hold your fingers on it, it's okay. If you touch it and it's like, ow, ooh, yeah, that's no bueno, no good. Cold motors is what we're going for. There shouldn't be any heat. But, you know, obviously, motors do get hot. They're working hard. Especially when you have a big payload, they will get warm.
And for the quad sizes that we fly with our 5-inch props, the GoPro counts as a quote-unquote big payload. We've got to the part of the video where you guys see me just repeating snap, flips, and rolls, trying to complete neat and clean flips and rolls. Look at that. Completely isolate that one axis, flip, 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 roll, 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 and see what does the quad do at the end of the move and at the beginning of the move. As a pilot, you try to feel, hey, does this feel right? Does it feel squirrely? Does it feel like it's reading my mind? Because it should feel like I think it and the quad does it in the air. That's what it should be like.
That's what it should feel like.
Yeah, and that's what you can get it to feel like.
Oh yeah. Yeah. However, I want to make it very plain and clear here. The stick movements that Abdul is trying to do here are not making the video in his goggles look good. He's trying to get the smoothest stick movement he can, so that when we're in the black box, it's a perfect line, and we're going to match it. If he was trying to do the video, it might be a bit squirrely at the end. You know, he's adjusting.
Let's jump right over to that. I think we see me punch up over a tree. Let's jump right out of that, because I think we will also be able to see our sticks in the black box log. And now we can go straight from that point to the other. Boom, I got you open, buddy. Show me that, show us that black box log. And now immediately you guys will see that those squiggly lines will make a bit more sense. They're gonna make a bit more sense. So now we're also looking at the black box from the flight that you have just seen. The flight that we just saw, that's exactly what we're looking at now. So let's jump on over to our flips and rolls. Those are the ones that make most sense most easily. And simplified, there we go. Always make it simple for yourself, guys.
Yeah. So the way I've set up this legend here is the red line is what you're telling your quad to do. It's the control input. This is what you're asking the quad to do. The blue line, the gyro, is what the quad is actually doing at that time. These will always have a couple of milliseconds of lag.
Milliseconds.
Yeah, it's just so small, but that is the link speed,
and that's
basically.
Physics, that's real world as well.
Yeah,
it takes it at least a millisecond, a thousandth of a second to do what you've told it to do, and you can't feel that as the pilot. You can't feel that. That's not within human senses.
Although you can feel the refresh rate, but I think that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at the examples here. At the beginning, you're just taking off, and I think you roll very slightly to the side.
Yeah, and see, you guys see those two little dots up there? That's what my sticks are doing. That's what my my radio sticks are doing in real time right now while I'm flying this flight.
Yeah, and if I play it.
Yeah, you can actually play it at real speed. That's actually what's happening. That's what I'm doing to fly the aircraft.
Yeah.
And
it even shows you.
Yeah.
Even shows you the values. So you can see immediately, oh, if my quad isn't acting quite right, or I'm not getting as much roll as I think I am. The black box will even tell you if you haven't calibrated. It might only hit, let's say, 1900 instead of 2000. But you're at full stick. There's something wrong. You can definitely tell. From black box, it'll tell you.
And black box is the only thing that will tell you that kind of data. Nothing else will tell you that data.
The radio won't know what's going on, because that probably is what the setting is. It's a bit wrong.
And you're just going to assume as the pilot that, hey, this is at 100% throttle or 100% stick throw. You're not going to know.
Yeah, exactly. You're too busy flying.
So let's find one of those snap moves and show them that. That'll be real simple. Make a lot of sense. So right now we can't see the PIDs. We can only see the gyro, which is what is the quad doing in the real world. And the red line, the set point, that is what we're telling the quad to do in the real world. We want those two lines to be as close together as we can get them through the power of PID tuning. Woohoo!
Oh yeah.
There we go, there we go. So there we are.
I found one, and we're going to isolate the roll axis by just clicking the button. It's that easy. There's no complicated things here. We're just looking at what we're looking at. The red line, what we told it to do, which was the snap roll.
Yeah. And
the blue line is what it's actually doing. So let's see. We're at about mid-throttle center point.
There we go.
The blue line is shaking. That is a little bit of oscillation, and that's mid-throttle oscillation. That is not part of this part of PID tuning. There's a latter part of that which we'll discuss after this. But the blue line in general, it goes up, follows what you're doing, and then comes back down. Pretty good. But
excuse me,
that thing at half throttle again. And you see it on all of them here. There is a little bounce back.
Yeah.
See?
And one might have assumed at the first move that, hey, it was just because it transitioned from like one roll to the other. But given that we're seeing it consistently and we're seeing the same behavior at that throttle point, we can make the assumption that, yeah, this is a behavior of the quad. And if it's behaving this way, we can manipulate that behavior to do what we want it to do. So that there's one thing that we've isolated there right away on the roll axis.
So if I see this between the red lines, if I see that, I'm normally thinking, oh, maybe he maybe somebody hit a tree but bounced off and kept flying. Like that's something you would expect from like a external force, but it gets right back on track and carries on. The worrying thing is it happens immediately after, and it's a very similar effect. You see, it's a real bounce back. So that is something you would address.
So that's something that we would address. Now we can immediately jump forward. This is how it would happen for you in the real world. What we can do is now let's jump into PID view and see what are the PIDs doing to the full graph that shows all of the lines. And there we can see the PIDs actually fighting this movement, and based on those we can make a recommendation on how to change set PIDs. And then we can look at the next log because we've Martha Stewarted it and done it. We prepared some earlier. Yeah.
I do want to say just before we leave this, when you change to this sort of legend view and there's lots of lines, it does get overwhelming. It really does. The one thing you are looking at specifically is the gyro, which is the blue line. You always want the gyro to do exactly what the set point says.
Yep.
And the red, you can hover over the right hand side and it kind of lights it up a little bit. That will help you identify what you're looking at. But yeah, don't get overwhelmed. Each line can be removed, replaced, hidden. Yeah,
it's just to make your life easier. So this would also be where that real world sheet and information comes important, because at the end of the move, if we've got a bit of a wobble there and it's tracking the line throughout, we would attack the D term rather than the P term. And if we're going to attack the D term, we need to know how hot were your motors during this flight. That is critical information, right?
Critical.
We know from beforehand that the motors were cool at the end of the flight. So we were able to push the D term some more. And now when we jump to day 2 of the log, we'll be able to see that. Now, can we also take a look at the pitch real quick, Ae0n, just to show off that, hey, look, this is exactly what the roll looked exactly like the flip as far as the black box goes. The black box doesn't care. It just records the raw data and tells us what we need to know to make sure that the thing is doing exactly what we want.
Sure thing. Right. We'll do the simplified one first. It's a bit shaky. It comes down, and it's a bit. The set point is a bit all over the place. Yeah, but you get that bounce back. You see that the one we saw before in the roll. You also have a little bit of roll on the pitch as well. And what that's going to cause is a diagonal movement in your quad if it's at the same time.
And you'll see it in camera as a wobble at the end of the movement, and it'll be like wuduk. It didn't stop exactly. You can kind of deal with that by doing the OG thing of feathering your sticks instead of just slamming back to the center, but you should be able to get the quad to fly right before, especially in this day and age with all of the filters and whatnot we have. So let's jump to day 2. Let's take a look at what day 2 looks like after we've made our changes. What do you say, Ae0n?
Sure thing. Let's see what the values were on day 1, in fact.
Yeah, so the numbers are real important.
Yeah, so this is a log header. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just the information that was inside of your flight controller, and it comes with the black box. And you can just check some settings. And this one shows the PIDs. So like roll was 31 on the P, 85 on the I, 33 on the D. That's great, but it's causing this bounce back on the roll. So let's go to day 2, see what changes we made to it,
and what effect those changes had. Because remember, these, not even a little bit of a tweak here or there can completely change the flight experience and performance of the quad. Completely change it. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah. You know, it helps for like you know, if you want to do some cinematic stuff too. If you dive over the edge of something, if you get a really clean, like crisp movement on that dive, it's very nice. But say you go over the edge and you start doing a bunch of bounce back and
yeah, you can't use that. That shot doesn't make the film. If you're a racer, you also want it dialed in because you're pushing the quad to the max and you need it to do exactly precisely what you want it to do. If you're a freestyler, again, you want that smooth feel. Whether you're a juicy sub-anger or you're a juicy flower, okay, or you're a flippy flopper, you want it to be locked in. Is this day 2 that we're looking at? The it still seems to say day 1. Are you showing us some other aspect of it?
No, it was day 1, but the number 2 log.
Okay. There we go. We see that same behavior there, that it'll wobble at the end of it.
Yep.
Let's get day number 2. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching this after the fact, or you're watching this right now, remember to check out the description. Get in on the party. This could be your quad being taken apart and tuned ever so sweetly, ever so correctly, ever so kindly. That's going to be, it could very well be. All you have to do is check out that link, submit the details, and then share with us your black box log and your DVR. All we need is the information, and with said information, we'll be able to make it happen. Here we go. Master Ae0n has taken us. See now and you gotta name the stuff. All we gotta know. See how that says Abdul Ae0n day 2 take 2. It's because day 2 of tuning, and him and I were doing it. Since it's organized, we're able to actually see what was done to your quad and thereby make sure that it works properly. I'm just taking a look at my phone because I have to let someone into the house. Okay, call when outside. My baby sister's out and about and she has no house keys. Younger siblings can be such a joy in air quotes. Shout out in the comments if you have a younger sibling and you love them. Let's take a look. Here we go on to the road. First, let's take a look at the settings. What did we change? Let's take a look at the header.
What did we change? We increased the P and roll and pitch. Also, I think we reduced the D slightly, if I remember rightly.
A couple of points down. It does look a couple of points down. So now let's take a look at
the result of that shown here. If we stretch this out a bit, look how much cleaner that is. It's following the set point going up. Here, I'll do it in the simplified legend. See how much cleaner that is than before? However, we still had the bounce back. So that was curious. We got the actual PID sorted, but this bounce back was coming from somewhere else.
Yeah, and then and that's why you have to keep coming back for a couple of weeks, because we'll make a few teeny tiny ETBT changes to make sure that nothing goes wrong with the machine, and then we'll see what the results are and we'll tweak based on that. I believe we added more D to this guy as we continued because the motors were cool and we had more than enough space to do it.
Right. So, okay. When you change PIDs too much, it can be a bit radical. Say you drop 10 points. Well, you don't know how much 10 points is in relation to what your quad is.
It's crazy. Don't drop by 10 points, sweet God. No, like we move by like 2, maybe 3 points if you're feeling especially spicy, but like a couple of points, 1 point at a time. You go out, you fly it, you see what happens, and then you take it from there. I'm getting the call to let the little one into the house. Why don't you take over for a hot minute, brother Ae0n, and let's take a look at Cyborg submission, because we do have 2 submissions for today. One is another one from your boy Abdul, which is an actual day 1 of tuning a new quad. And one is a submission from our buddy Cyborg from that Treehouse Discord, a great place to hang out if you're an FPV pilot, and even if you're not, frankly, it's a wonderful, welcoming space. Links in the description.
Yep.
And let's start with cyborgs, and then we'll take over towards mine. Make sense, Aeon?
Cool. Sounds like a plan. Yeah.
You're on the screen. I am off the screen. I shall be back within 2 moments. Stay here, smooth like steel. This program is not associated or authorized by Steele Davis.
Nope. Although we would love him to enjoy our stuff. We would, shout out Steele if you do see this. We like you, man. We like you. Please don't hate us. All right, so yeah, Cyborg is from the Treehouse. The Treehouse crew is a Discord for FPV and gamers, all alike, and it's really a knowledge base, a hive of cool people and quad-related things, and also gaming. Cyborg, one of the awesome guys there, sent me a black box, which is coming up. And we're going to take a look at it. He also sent some DVR as well. I'll try and get that working, although no promises. Yeah. All right. Awesome. This is his black box. Running Betaflight 416. It's a good old 4.1, that one. Although I do recommend going to 424 or even 4.3. I know. Everybody's got their comments. What does it do? Why is it better? It's still in the test stages. Well, it makes sliders more appropriate again. Although we are black box tuning with numbers at this moment, to initially start, you do use the sliders. So it's, not that difficult. You don't have to remember all the numbers. Right. See if Cyborg's video.
I have returned. What did I miss? Did I miss anything? That log looks pretty, clean. Some oscillation here and there. Is that mid throttle or top throttle?
It looks like mid throttle.
And was it windy? He hasn't given us that information. We don't know how windy it was.
I'm sure we could get a Cyborg in chat comment.
Where you at, Cyborg? Are you out there? Hello.
We'll find out if it was windy or not.
We'll find out if it was windy or not.
But yeah, these little environmental factors can affect your quad. Wind, rain even. Rain hitting the props slows them down.
And you can tune for that. You might need to have a wildly different tune for flying in the rain, but you can have a tune for flying in the rain, and then you will actually be able to fly good in the rain.
Yep. Not a case of, you can. Why would I need that? It's just you can. You can.
Let's not ask the question of why would I need. I mean, that's a slippery slope.
So Cyborg's roll here. Let's have a look at this. Look how clean this is.
Ooh, look at how closely it tracked. That means it feels it's doing exactly what he wants it to do when he wants it to do it. There's one little wobble at the bottom there, but not there. Further on down, a little bit at the end of the next move, I see a wobble. But that could be some prop wash. That could be it. What's his, what do his PIDs look like?
If we really want to scrutinize it, we can have a look at this. Now, all of these lines, in theory, should be straight, or at least tracking the set point exactly. It will never do that. Physics won't let you, and you've got to have some expectation of your quality of hardware. If you make this out of wood, don't ask for the perfect black boxes. But you
can still get pretty dang close. It just won't be perfect, but you can get. It's amazing how close you can get.
Yeah, a little bit of effort, a little bit of work. Come back 2 or 3 times, and you should have the quad just how you like it. And remember, once you learn how to do it, you don't need us. You can do it yourself if you want.
Well, I think it's always like, I know how to do it, but I still love doing it with you, because it's a lot more fun when you do it with friends, as is with lots of other things in this life. Ask your parents' kids, and it makes it easier because it's really complicated. So getting a getting a perspective of a different pair of eyes is really powerful. Plus, the PIDs are like kind of those magic gremlins that they're not just in our quads, they're in practically all industrial machines have PI or PID controllers, and they're part of those magic gremlins that there is no math for them. They have to be tuned in the real world. We have the equations that govern them, and you can get a great equation for a start point if you put in all of the variables, but you still need to tune it in the real world. So you gotta put in that time and then tune it in. So Cyborgs looks like it's tracking really good. I think you were about
really
to show them the video to see that does the video verify that. We'd also need the pilot's notes for the pilot to turn around and tell us that, hey, how does the quad feel to you and how do you want it to feel? So you can make it feel different, like a whole new quad with just a few numbers here and there. Ooh,
this is Cyborgs.
We're gonna need to do that over again for our buddies in the stream, because it is chugging. It is chugging. Let's pause that in and I'll get that done. I like how he has that trampoline there that's like kind of Bardwell-esque. Bardwell has a trampoline. Speaking of Bardwell and his trampoline, and I was gonna plug this earlier, but you know, about how we were talking about how the PIDs all dance together, and I was gonna be like, hey, it's like a complex dance to a song of pitch and throttle, kind of like the official liftoff stream that I do weekly on Sundays at 1600 GMT. You guys should check out on the liftoff channel. Here we go. Cyborg, ready, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. You gotta love that crossfire confidence up in the top. 300 link. I think I'm trying to look real close. There's that flip move. Let's see it again.
That's much better.
Yeah, so you want to try and end the flip, end it. Don't feather it at all. We're trying to bring out the bad behavior so we can see it. Didn't see any prop wash while he was falling down there. Very impressive. I'm trying to see the mid-throttle oscillation, that bit of a wobble that you saw. That's dialed in. That's dialed in. Oh, that hit the ground. That's going to change your tune. But that's fine. You can tune for that.
It's fine.
It's fine. So now another thing we can do once we have the video is we're going to watch it slower, because if there are any wobbles anywhere in the video, we'll be able to see them much better at slow speed. There. Did you see there was no... When you stop the quad, it stopped. That's what the black box shows us, and that's what we want. We want that. We want that. So I think my input for this, Ae0n, back me up or back me up or come right from the other side. This is what the doing it with buddies is all about. I would ask the pilot, how hot are your motors? And if your motors aren't hot, then let's reduce filtering for you a teeny tiny little bit and see if we can just get rid of those niggles by reducing your filtering. If your motors are cool to just slightly warm, I would recommend the filter sliders 1 notch to the right, 1 notch to the right. What would you say?
I would also agree with that, depending on weather. If this day was windy, you might want to, go left and maybe a bit more filtering. So, it does depend on external factors.
I'm trying to see if we can see any wind in the trees. I thought you were going to say depending on the motors, but that's why we do it with friends. What a great perspective. I can't make out, but I would assume it's not windy because I can't see any tree shake anywhere.
In that case, you may be well right. You may be well right.
But it's something we need the pilot to confirm. Hey, was there wind? Okay. If there was wind, then maybe we want some more filtering. If there was no wind, we want less filtering, because I can't see the grass moving when it's upside down, so that's something. And how hot were your motors? We need to know those
the
two
important
things.
one.
That's the important one. Pursuant to that, we're going to switch up the filters a little bit, and that's how it would work, you guys. We would tell you, hey, go do this in your beta flight, do this again, come back to us next week, and boom, your quad flew better. We've got just enough time to look at one more, I think, at my new offering, and that will also be interesting because of our discussion on wind. The drone that I'm going to share, I'll have to play it. You have the video ready to see, brother Ae0n?
You play the video. Yeah,
all right, I'm going to play that in just T-minus 10 seconds. Now, before we show it to our friends, I'll have you know that this quad is flying in 45 to 50 kilometer winds as per the weather forecast. As per the pilot report, I can report that, listen, it was so windy, I had to adjust my power stance to let my knees go, because if I hadn't, I would have been blown. I mess you not, I'm a light boy, I'm just like 60 odd kilos. Take that for what you will, but the wind would have blown me over. It was windy. Okay.
Remember, the power stand sounds 10 PID.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
I have never heard that before. We're gonna see oh no, has it opened? Yeah, we're gonna see it in, so this is a digital signal that we're watching. All right, I've got the first file open. In fact, I'm gonna open the second file because the second file was with the, oh no, have I done it right? I've done it right. This is the one in which it's actually carrying a camera equivalent, since we're testing. When you're testing your quad for PID tuning and it's the first time you're flying it, you don't have to strap your expensive camera on top. You can just tie on something that's the same shape and the same weight, and it works. That's what's tied on over here. 45 to 50 kilometer winds. I can report that the motors were fine. So on a rate of oh my god, they were hot, to they were hot, to they were hot/warm, to they were warm/hot, to they were warm, to they were fine, to they were cool. They could have been cool, but it was a hot day and it was carrying a camera, and so they were fine, right? On the scale of motor heat, that's how it goes. Can that be a thing that I can start at, like that Abdul scale of motor heat?
Yeah, Abdul scale.
We can make like a diagram. Can we write that down somewhere? I'm gonna write it down, children.
You can't trust his unit of temperature. He lives in a hot country.
Our unit of temperature is Bardwell's video. Our unit of temperature is Bardwell video. We're just adding some more heat to it. Bardwell just gave us 2 words. He says they're fine and ow. I'd like to add a few more shades of heat to that. So they're cool, so we have nothing to tell from the motors. First, let's take a look at the first flight. This is the second flight, which is the second black box log. Here we go, playing from the 3rd second, so you can watch along with us, brother Ae0n, and immediately we see some wobble, right? So now I haven't also looked at the black box log of this, so it's a true test of how it would go. We see some wobble and some shake in the FPV camera. This was something that I saw as a pilot as well. It was like low throttle vibe. It wasn't really high throttle, it was low throttle vibe. So you see me being careful, you see me feeling it out, and now you'll see me punch it to the moon. Here I'm listening to the quad. It's very important what your quad sounds like. If you have HD footage with sound, then share that so we can hear what the motors listen to. They sounded a little different with the payload, and there, see, it has low rates because it's a work machine. It's not meant to be freestyle, but you see, flip, roll, and at the end, I don't really see any visible bounce back. I don't remember feeling any bounce back. But we have that wobble throughout. So here's an important thing the black box log will tell us. It's going to tell us is this the entire drone wobbling, or is this just my FPV camera wobbling?
Yeah.
Right? And
It's a thing. It happens. You know, you strip the threads on the inside of your camera, it comes out one day, and you have a problem and you don't know what it is. Black box may be able to tell you. Your quad flies perfectly fine, but you know, in the goggles, all you see is it shaking around.
that's not on. So how do we fix that kind of thing? My notes at the end of it was the wobbles and that it felt good. Flight wise, it felt good to me. It felt responsive. As you can see, I said hello to the birdie bird. The birdie didn't want to play with me, and the co-pilot was giving me a shouting about how it looked close to the trees, and I was saying no, it doesn't look close to the trees. Let's jump over to the black box log of this bird. Over to you, Master Aeon.
Oh God.
I also haven't looked at the log. I'm also going to open it out and let's see if we can. Oh no, now I've opened two black box logs and it's gotten confused.
Yeah, which one is it?
It's log 2. It's the tuning software has just gotten confused. Hold on, can you hold on a second? Can you just make sure that you turn off the quad legend before we put this one on? You know, the quad legend that shows that, just turn that off so we don't get confused.
All right.
Righty tighty, that's just like a one thing, and once that is turned off and all we can see is the PIDs because that's all we're interested in, let's take a look-see at where is this mystery wobble. Do we need to fix some tuning? Do we need to change some filters, or do we just need to mount our FPV camera better? Like maybe it's just loose.
And that's always the best option, you know. Oh, duh, I've been silly.
Easy hardware. Easy hardware fix.
Another one is people can run a camera wire or any signal wire over the gyro, and that will throw up funky black box logs. And yeah, you can tune it out to a degree, but you'll always have, like, you know, a weird pulsating, like, glitchy move, or, you know, that's something to be aware of. Don't put no signal wires near your gyro, or power wires.
It's gonna go, especially them power wires, is gonna be unhappy.
Yep. All right, so I got your log up here, my friend.
Let's take the craft display off. I'm also scrubbing through it, but I think I've messed up my workspace one way or the other, and it's not doing it properly anymore. Ola, let me pull you up. There we go, nice and big. So in my first look, I can't really see the wobbles. I can't see those wobbles here that the FPV camera was showing, which is highly positive. Can we zoom in and take a look at that?
We sure can. It's fine. It's fine. So in this instance, I would say, hey, just double check your camera screws. Just double check. But at the same time, we are seeing these little movements here. And notice this one is I know it's tiny. It is real small, but it's deviating from what you're telling it to do.
So here I have two notes on that front because I have another piloting note based on the flight. I'm not sure if we'll be able to pull it out. We should be able to pull it out in the black box because A, 45 to 50 kilometer winds pushing it around, that'll make it move from the set point. And B, I think we need to adjust the I term because one of the things that I did was I punched up to the moon, right? And then I let it fall straight down at 0 throttle through all of the bad air, okay? To try and induce bad behavior and see what it would do. So what it did at that point was it just slow wobbled its nose up and down. It wasn't a P wobble, it looked like a very clear I wobble. It was a slow oscillation up and down in one axis, which it consistently did every time I let it drop down from the moon.
My advice to that would be have a play around with your anti-gravity setting.
Yes, I agree. I'm aligned with you.
Yeah. If your quad's not holding attitude correctly, you know, oscillations and quad wobbles are another thing. But when it's dipping like that, and when you're trying to give it a let's say a throttle input, Yeah, check your anti-gravity settings. It's in the config tab, I think. No,
Yeah.
PID tuning tab on the right.
Yeah, and Stinger Swarm, one of the old gods of FPV, has got a great video about anti-gravity and I-turn wind-up that you can go take a look at. So that's something to keep an eye on. What else do you see in this log that we need to adjust, Ae0n? Are you on the right log here?
Yeah, 00002 thick.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I don't see the throttle punches that I have in my log. The one that I'm looking at that I've opened up, I have some throttle punches in it. Now, this is the new link. You need to check out the new link that I sent you today, buddy. There's a new Google. This is from, I believe what you're looking at is the hover test. We have more than just a hover test of this machine. Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh. All right, yeah. Do you want to switch to yours then, and I'll have a look?
How do can I do that here? I think I can do that here. Hold on. I can show you as well through the magical, mystical powers of Zoom. We shall do this, and boom. You should be able to see me now, though people can't see you anymore. I think that is okay. And we open up the black box log, and are we on the right one? There we go. Can you see it, buddy?
I sure can.
Okay, so this is what the log looks like. I've just started flying. And so this is in those high winds with those wobbles that we just saw.
Okay.
And we look at it simplified first. So we do see a small wobble there. Okay, look at that. You guys see that above and below the line? But this is a lot slower than the wobble that I was seeing in the goggles, because if we play it in the real world, it looks smooth. It looks like it's tracking perfectly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Totally agree with your assessment there. Yeah.
So that really looks like, hey, the FPV camera needs to be tightened down. And needs to be tightened down, and it needs to be screwed down and made sure that it's not wobbling. Figure out why it's wobbling. The good thing is that, hey, the quad itself is not wobbling, which means that my HD camera will not be wobbling. That's what we're looking for.
There is a certain degree that you can get away with before your fancy GoPro, hyper smooths it out, or you can gyro flow it out. But the idea of PID tuning in that sense is you're making your camera do less work, and effectively you can get more resolution. Racers, they do it to get more efficient, faster motors, better lap times. Us freestyle guys, we want it to look good. We want it to fly great. And yeah, look at this one. It's fantastic. Yeah. However, I do see something on the pitch.
So do I. I see a couple of things here. Before the roll, we could add some feed forward on roll right there, because it's not tracking it quite as close as we would like it to track. You can give it some feed forward there, but it comes and catches the line really nicely. Doesn't go anywhere above or below the line on roll.
So that means your filters are just about right.
Lovely.
Just about.
I zoomed into it, so if we zoom in, one wobble above the set point, and that's it. That's lovely. That works. Righto. And then let's look at the end of the roll as well, because I caught something here. There's one wobble. Look at that. One. Just one.
Yep.
So I think we add some D for that. Motors are cool, and pitch looks like it's just right based on the start of the graph. I'd add some D onto roll. What do you say?
Right. So that's your guess. All right. So let's get the header up, the log header, so we can see the PIDs of this current build.
There we go.
Oof, that's a lot of P. That's a lot of P, my friend.
I did boost the PD gain a little bit before going out for this flight based on things that we read on the Betaflight developers tuning guide, something you don't have to read if you get on board with the stream and you take part with Smooth Like Steel. This program is not associated with or authorized by Steele Davis.
But he is awesome.
Yes, we love him.
So yeah, I would throw a suggestion out there. Maybe lower the P a little bit. Let's just lower that and see if that curve gets reduced. And if it doesn't, we can always put it back to what it was before. And that's the good thing about it.
So you can also just set up a couple of different profiles before you go to fly and have all these different options and go back to back, tuck, couple of flights, switch the profile, come back, you have the black box log, you have the piloting fields, boom, you're done. So that's what we looked at roll real quick. We're going to look at that a bit more. Let's look at the pitch now. So here we see a weird movement on the pitch, but we can see that I have applied a little bit of pitch here. It's reacting a lot more than what I've applied, but I have given it a little teeny tiny itty bitty amount of pitch, and I've given it a bit of yaw as well, which is why the yaw is also reacting. It should be cleaner, but I, the pilot, at least for tuning purposes, need to make this move cleaner so we can get better data. Let's punch that forward and see if we're seeing the same thing on roll over and over. Seems to be tracking very well as we go along. Let's just play that. Here we go, another roll. So again, it's smooth smash on the line. Your pitch is not doing that weird thing again because I've not applied so much pitch this time. Okay. It's weird, Ae0n, but for some reason you're not on the camera right now. I think that's just because of Zoom. Okay, but I'll get you back on camera in just a moment, don't you worry. Right now you've jumped out of frame, but that's okay. Okay, so there's, again, we're seeing some lack of feet forward there at the beginning of the roll and one wobble at the end. It starts very late here as well. See, we don't start moving in time. I've already changed the set point. Nothing moves. Takes its while to come back. Let's see if we can find a roll with a cleaner, here we go, with a cleaner ending. This is a cleaner ending. We're definitely getting 1, 2. This is a wobble. You would see that as a quad would go over the line, it would come back, then it would come back. It looks bad, you don't want that. We're gonna try and lower the P and see how it reacts from there. Let's take a look at the pitchy pitch. Papa pitch. Can you guys hear that liftoff music in the background? Let me check if any of our buddies have left us a magical mystical note there. Not so far. That's okay. So we look at the rolls. We look at now we look at the pitch. Here we go. So you see me slamming the pitch up again. I see it could use some feet forward. Bunch of feet forward on the pitch there.
Not too much.
Call it 10 units. With feet forward, we can play 10 units. I'd say 10 units on the feet forward.
All right. How did you come up with that number?
I pulled it out of my bottom.
So default values, they start around 100, and that value is pretty much what you're seeing there, maybe 100 milliseconds. If you add more feet forward, that will get closer and closer. But too much, and it starts to do weird stuff. I don't actually know how they're directly related. I just know that does feed forward, and that's what it does.
Well, what the dev know, what feed forward does is it kind of looks into the future at the speed that you're moving your sticks, and it helps make up for that, and it covers up. It's kind of tries to break physics to provide you immediate response based on what you want. However, what the devs also say in their tuning notes is that, listen, weird things will start to happen. That's exactly how they say it effectively, in more or less words, that is, don't put in too much because weird things might kind of happen. So there's still one wobble on the end of it. I think let's attack it with the same strategy, that we lower the P, but we'll lower the roll P by 2 points and we'll lower the pitch P by 1 point.
From the frame that you're looking at right now, I would argue the opposite way around. 1 on roll, 2 on pitch.
I was basing it just off of the black box log that we were seeing. So then why not 2 on roll and 2 on pitch? Let's do both of them too, because we have a dead catish frame that we're talking about. So we need to that's why we need the information. So we know the answers to these questions before we tell you the magical, mystical numbers.
Yep.
And
keep on going, let's have a look.
And again, yeah, the ending, the roll is, the pitch does seem much better, but it's going to need more authority because of the nature of the frame. So let's do a couple of points on both. Let's take a quick look at the yaw. Oh, the yaw is just mad, but we've only got P and I on yaw. We have no D. I would say a bit more P, a bit more P. It doesn't really reach the line in time. It reaches the line really late. And your rate is really low, so it should be reaching the line.
It should be. I suggest a little bit more P and maybe some feet forward. Or maybe less P or more P.
More P. So we get, because it doesn't reach the line in time, right? It tries to get close and then it doesn't ever really manage to reach. Well, so it does in the end. We need more push. So we would put some more P onto that, we'd put some more feet forward onto that. And since the pilot said, hey, motors are cool and the filters look like they're doing good, we're going to check. And we can't see that weird mid-throttle vibe in the black box log. So we're going to attack the camera mounting. We're going to apply these changes. We're going to go out and repeat. And next week, we're going to have an even smoother quad. And the week after that, even smoother. I think that's a great bombshell to enter our inaugural episode on Ae0n. Let me take this off Discord and pull you back up onto the Discord so that everybody can see us in all of our glory. There we go. Oh, you're back. You're back. Are you back?
God, you covered me up for so long.
We were all about having a good time, you guys. We hope that you had a great time chilling out with us today while you were there. You can remember to smash subscribe on the red button below you right now. Head over to Ae0n's channel, smash subscribe there. We'll be back next week. Check out the links in the description that tell you how to get us to tune your quad with the same amount of love and devotion. We're going to catch you next week at just about the same time. This is Abdul signing off. Bye.
This is Ae0n. See you later. Bye.
Yeah, let's go fly some quads, Ae0n.
Yeah, I do.
I'll
hey,
catch you.
I was wondering if you could tune my quad for me.
Right? Yeah, let's go over to the treehouse and make it happen, buddy.
We shall.
Here we go. See you guys.